Jacob Rees-Mogg, thanks very much indeed for welcoming into your beautiful home.
Well, thank you.
Sort of reminds me of Chequers.
Oh goodness, well, I've only been to Chequers once, and that was when Ted Heath was Prime Minister, when we were picking up my father, who had a meeting with him. And as I was about 3 at the time, I don't have a very good memory of it.
Well, maybe you'll find out in a little bit more detail as the years progress. I read a label in The Guardian, actually, about you the other day, saying, hard Brexit, socially illiberal Tory. How do you feel about that?
Well, if you go into politics, people will label you. The Times will be putting a splendid label on you on the magazine's front page tomorrow. And
Touché.
But don't you think this is the flotsam and jetsam of public life? And sometimes you think people have a point, and sometimes you think they missed something.
Why did you go into politics?
Why did I go into politics? I think that if you are...
Hello. Someone saying hello.
Oh, hello. Hello, Helena, Peter. Hello, come and meet Kay Burley, who is the most distinguished 24-hour news broadcaster in the country.
How are you? Nice to see you.
Peter.
Hello, Peter. How are you?
If I gave him half a chance, would take over the interview, but we'd better not let that happen.
Where were we? Why did you go into politics?
Why did I go into politics? I think if you've been fortunate in life, there is an element of public service that is important, and people ought to go into public service if they can, and if they have the opening to go into it, which I found that I did. But also I find it extremely interesting. The issues in front of the country are very important ones, and if I can make a contribution, I feel that I should. No doubt many people wish I didn't make a contribution, but some people think that I can, and I think it's worth making.
You describe yourself as a man of the people, but you said it in Latin.
I said vox populi, vox Dei, the voice of the people is the voice of God. I've always been very suspicious of politicians who pretend that they can be every man. We are all individuals, and we all have our own concerns, hopes, fears, view of the world. And we can have empathy with other people's, but we can't be other people's. And you certainly can't be 2, 3, 4, 10 million people's view of the world. So what you have to do is set out your stall as to what you believe in, what you think you represent, and see if that appeals to people, and see if you can have an understanding of how what you believe in can help people improve their lives and achieve what they want to achieve in their life. What is politics about? And I think fundamentally Conservative politics is about helping people to lead the lives they want to lead and taking obstacles out of their way. And to do that you need to have empathy, but you don't need to pretend in a bogus way that you are leading exactly the same life as everybody else, because actually we all lead different lives.
Talk about empathy. We looked at your voting record. Where are we on hunting?
On fox hunting, it's a question of how best you keep the fox population under control, which is as high as it's ever been, as far as I'm aware. And there are various measures of doing that. You can.
Or trap them.
Trapping's very risky because you might trap other animals by mistake. And shooting is fine as long as you're a very good shot. But a wounded fox is in very considerable pain. So it's a question of, do you believe that the fox population should be kept down at all? And if you don't, then it makes sense to be against all these forms of control. If you're not against that, then why choose one from another?
I hate foxes. They're pesky little blighters, but I wouldn't ride a horse and have hounds in front of them and go and rip them to bits.
It's a question of pest control. I'm afraid in the position of willing the end but not willing the means.
Okay.
But I don't think this is the political issue of our time. And as it happens,
it isn't for you, perhaps.
No, but I don't think the law will now change.
Okay. Do you want to be Prime Minister?
No. I
Why
like
not?
being the Member of Parliament for North East Somerset. Well, first of all, I don't think like is the right word. I think, as Theresa May does it, it is a matter of duty, and the Prime Minister does it out of serious-minded duty. And I think that's the right approach to high government office. But I am very happy being a Member of Parliament for North East Somerset, which has essentially always been the summit of my ambition, and I'm very pleased to support Theresa May as Prime Minister.
But if you go into public service, is what you were talking about previously, and if you're in a privileged background and the best way to then pass on some of those skills is to go into public service, surely the natural transition is to go as high up that ladder as you can go.
Not necessarily. There are other people who are doing their jobs extremely well. You don't want change for change's sake. I am, after all, a Conservative.
Would you like to be in Cabinet?
The answer to that is that I'm not going to be. That Theresa May was asked this question, and it gave her the longest fit of the giggles I think she's had the whole time she's been Prime Minister. So I don't think there's any point in wanting things that's simply not going to happen.
What about when she's not Prime Minister anymore?
Well, may she be Prime Minister forever. Amen, amen, hallelujah, hallelujah, amen.
I'm not sure that she can, unless she's immortal, or indeed Mr Corbyn might have a different view. But if and when she isn't Prime Minister anymore, would you like to move up into higher office?
I'm very happy doing what I'm doing. I love being a Member of Parliament for North East Somerset.
And so
you're
is that
here.
A no? Is that
you're
a no?
Here.
Is
you're
that
listening
a no?
to the birds out in the garden.
Yes, we are. I'm having a lovely time.
It's just terrific. And who would want to change or sacrifice that?
But if you don't have a shot at it, do you not think you would have failed in your role as a politician?
No, I think being a Member of Parliament is a fulfilling of all political ambition.
Kids love living in Downing Street.
I'm not sure. I don't think that's a thing to consider.
Don't you think they would? How cool would that be? Policemen with big guns either end of the road?
Well, we used to have that because the American Embassy is very near where we live in London, but now that's all gone. So the children have seen the police with the large guns and all of that. I don't think that would be a particular excitement, nor indeed a proper reason for wanting high office.
What do you think of Theresa May?
I'm a great supporter of hers. That I think she's a very remarkable person. She has amazing qualities. She is incredibly dutiful. That she ploughs on.
Did you say dutiful or beautiful?
Dutiful.
Okay, just
dutiful. I don't think it would be suitable to comment in that direction. She gets on with it, and it can't have been an easy time since the election, and yet she puts her head down and gets on with her work, and I think that's admirable. She deals with difficulties coming in from all sides and copes with them. Her response to the poisoning in Salisbury by the Russians was an incredible act of statesmanship, getting so many countries to agree to expel Russian diplomats. So now I think she is a formidable leader with great abilities, and that's why I'm supporting her, and supporting her in what she has promised to do.
If the Prime Minister betrays the customs union, in your opinion, do you think there will be enough people writing to the 1922 committee in order to potentially have her removed from office?
I trust the Prime Minister. She has said...
Not my question.
No, I know it's not your question, but she has said on so many occasions that she will take us out of the customs union. It was in the Conservative Party manifesto. That is the platform on which this country is being governed. It's bizarre to think that she would retreat from that promise. So
what if she does?
Well, I don't think she's going to. And I absolutely understand why you're asking me the question. But as soon as I start saying about that, it indicates that I think she may. And I don't think she will. I think the Prime Minister is going to stick to what she has promised the British people.
Can we do hypotheticals on that one?
Hypotheticals are always fascinating. But I don't want to, in a hypothetical sense, give a hypothetical view that I hypothetically won't support the Prime Minister, who in fact I do support.
But if she did not, hypothetically, would you be one of the people that would write to the 1922 committee to say, she's out on her ear? My
general view is that the Conservative Party, when it does that sort of thing, when it has those periodic fits, causes itself more problems than solutions. That the Margaret Thatcher instance is the best case in point, and that left the party damaged for 30 years. So I would not want people to be writing to Graham Brady, Sir Graham Brady. I don't think that would be a wise, who's chairman of the 1922 committee. I don't think that would be a wise course of action.
Who is the Labour Prime Minister that you would most compare yourself to?
The Labour Prime Minister that I most compare myself to? That's a very...
You've repeated the question because you're getting time to think about it, aren't you?
I need time to think about it because it's not a question I've ever been asked before.
There we go.
And it's a sort of process of elimination, I suppose. I'm not very like Ramsay MacDonald. I suppose the one I would most like to be like is Clement Attlee. I like, stylistically, his very calm and considered approach. I admire the political skill of Harold Wilson, but you could view him as being a little bit slippery. Some people do. Jim Callaghan wasn't an enormous success as Prime Minister. Tony Blair, I think Tony Blair out of office is the reason why one wouldn't want to be compared to Tony Blair even more than Tony Blair in office.
Why?
I think his post-office excursions and trips around the world to not the most savoury regimes on a profit-making basis has not enhanced his reputation.
So he's lining his pockets in regimes that are inappropriate.
Your words, not mine.
No, it's a question as opposed to a statement.
But I think that some of his associations are unfortunate considering the high office that he held.
Which ones in particular?
Well, some of the countries he's been inviting. But let's move on, because we have left out Gordon Brown, where I think...
We're coming to him, I just wondered which ones in particular.
The reverse is true of Gordon Brown. I think Gordon Brown has behaved with enormous dignity out of office. Whereas in office, one doesn't know, but he never gave the impression of really enjoying being in office. So I think I come down to Clement Attlee by process of elimination.
Okay. Which of your principles are you most prepared to compromise?
It's a really interesting question because it gets to the heart of politics. That politics is about recognising that the only point in being in it is because of principles, because of what you want to do. But that principles can run you into a brick wall in the end. So I think it's important to have principles, to set them out, to be clear to the electorate as to what they are, but to recognise that you cannot take your principles endlessly to their logical conclusion, because you may end up doing harm at the end of the process.
When is abortion ever acceptable?
It is never licit.
What about when the mother's life is at risk?
Then it's not a question of abortion. This is one of the common misunderstandings in the teaching of the Catholic Church. The duty of the physician is to preserve life. And if the preserving of the mother's life means that the child's life cannot be preserved, that is something that may happen. And that can obviously happen if the gestation period is very low and the mother needs emergency treatment. There has never been any issue with that. It's one of those things that people misconceive the teaching of the Catholic Church.
What about when a mother, again I'm choosing my words carefully just at the moment, what about when a mother has found herself in a position where she didn't want to be pregnant?
I mean, that is obviously ignoring the life of the new baby, that there is a child then to be considered. The mother's life is not at risk under those circumstances.
What about the will of the mother and the fact that she has found herself in a position where she has not chosen to be pregnant? She has found herself in a position where she is pregnant with someone who she might not even know.
You've got to think about the new life as well as the older life. There are two lives, that's the point.
Does your wife agree with you on that?
You must ask my wife.
Have you discussed it?
Not in detail.
Have you congratulated Ruth Davidson on her recent happy news?
Oh, I meant to write to her. I haven't yet done it. I think it's wonderful news. It's absolutely joyous news, and I loved the statement that was reported that she said she couldn't keep it secret because she was so excited she wanted to tell everybody, which is exactly what I felt when all my children have been on their way. And there's the period when you're not allowed to say, under strict orders, and I've always found that very hard. And when Ruth Davidson said that, I thought, I know exactly what you mean. I think it's a wonderful, happy news, and a new life always is.
Potentially goes a little against your religious beliefs?
New life is always good news.
Potentially goes a little...
No, it doesn't. No, you're confusing things. The Catholic Church is always in favour of new life. There is a new baby. This is wonderful news. A new soul. This is terrific. There is no problem with that.
So
now, you're going back to what happened to create that new life. That doesn't matter. There is now a new life, and that is of overwhelming importance and a matter of great joy.
I read recently, as I was preparing for the interview, that you have been described as a member for the 18th century. Does that sting a little bit?
I can't understand why people think I'm so modern.
So that's a no.
Yeah, sorry, this is all great fun. I see no harm in that. The 18th century isn't actually the best time of Parliament. It's a rather closed and corrupt Parliament at that point, with a lot of jobbery and appointments to friends and neighbours to enrich members of Parliament. Perhaps the glorious time of Parliament, the two best times, the 17th and 19th century.
Should Trump be allowed to address both houses of Parliament?
Oh, look, our relationship with the United States is our most important foreign relationship. And whoever the President of the United States is, it is in our interest to treat him with the greatest respect and courtesy. And if that's what Mr. Trump wants to do, yes, of course, it would be sensible to lay out the reddest of red carpets for him, that he is a major ally. We have so many interests in common.
So if he wants to address both houses of Parliament, he should be allowed to do so?
Of course he should. I mean, we want to make the welcome as warm as possible, that our relationship with the United States is of fundamental importance to our national interest. And if you offend the American president, you don't just offend the president individually, you actually offend a lot of Americans, even if they don't like their president, because it's seen as an offence to the country. In the same way that if people offend the Queen, the people of the United Kingdom take that as an offence. And it's different where your head of government and head of state is the same.
Strong women in your life?
Well, my wife, very much so. Nanny, my mother, my agent. So lots.
You surround yourself by with strong women?
I greatly admire strength in individuals, whether they're men or women. I think strong characters with backbone are interesting to be around. That's why it's such a pleasure you're here, if I may say so.
Flattery will get you nowhere.
I wasn't trying to get anywhere, I was just thinking of the truth.
Tell me about Nanny.
Oh, Nanny's wonderful. Nanny has been with the family, I think, for 52 years, 53 years in September. She brought me up as well as my 4 siblings, and is now looking after my 6 children. They during the week, so she's not here at the weekends. And she's the most wonderful, kind, generous person.
What would Nanny think about some of the things that Donald Trump has said about women?
Well, she'd probably tell him to wash his mouth out with carbolic soap, but I don't think she'd actually do it because she's too gentle. She never has been one for physical punishment, but I think that might be her reaction to some of the things that he said. Describe
your childhood to me.
Oh, I had a lovely childhood. I was very lucky that I spent a lot of it in Somerset. Like my children, I went to school in London, day school in London, then was in Somerset weekends and holidays. And so I had a really joyful childhood. Couldn't have been luckier.
Is it true that in 1981 you turned up at the annual general meeting of GEC?
Yes.
Tell me what happened.
It was long ago. I think I thought the dividend should be higher, and I asked a question saying that I thought the dividend should be higher.
And?
And the dividend wasn't made any higher, so it didn't have any effect.
Did you see that as a body blow at the time?
No, I didn't think they would respond immediately, but...
Your father was on the board, wasn't he?
He was, yes. But I had some shares in GEC, and I thought I had the right as a shareholder to go along and ask for a bigger dividend.
President's Club dinner, in your role outside Parliament, you may have attended events like that. How would you have reacted if you had witnessed the sort of behaviour that had been listed?
Frightful stuff, Shad. I never went to events like that. I just never have. I've never thought that.
So people that went would have known what they were getting themselves into?
I don't know what people knew or not, but I'm a terrible old stuffed shirt. I've never found...
How would you know to stay away from those sort of events?
Well, I never got invited to them. I'm too square. I don't get invited to those sorts of things. And I would have felt most uncomfortable if I'd been with them. I get invited to events with political speakers.
You travel all over the country, don't you, doing political speaking?
I speak to Conservative associations.
As somebody told me the other day, you would go to the opening of an envelope.
I address a lot of Conservative associations because the backbone of the Conservative Party is the local party, with people doing the hard work, stuffing the envelopes, not just opening them, delivering the leaflets, knocking on the doors. They're the ones who do the hard work to get people like me elected, and I think they deserve support and thanks for what they do. Plus an odd raffle and a bit of thanks for their fundraising.
If you ever what do you do if you won? Would you put it back and let someone else win the prize?
Depends what the prize is. I won a box of milk tray the other week, which I did keep because I like milk tray. My wife was appalled. She thought this was not... I should have given it back, but the orange creams are the best ones.
Are they your favourites?
Yes, yeah, I always like those.
Okay. What about when you go to events like you did at the university where those guys in the masks were really rather unpleasant?
I believe in freedom of speech, and if freedom of speech sometimes is against me, That's part of freedom of speech. You've got...
Were you intimidated? I was intimidated watching it.
No. They weren't going to hit me. They just wanted to shout. And they didn't want to engage in any discussion.
What scares you?
I don't know, if a lion were to jump through the window, I suppose it would be slightly
Unlikely in
discombobulating.
Somerset. I've just come back from Africa, more likely there.
More likely there. I'm not particularly highly strung.
Did I just hear your good lady tut then? I was your son.
What about my bowling machine that bowls 60 miles per hour at your head?
Well, that was momentarily invisible. That was probably that.
What made you laugh, apart from your son?
Oh, lots of things. The 18th century joke book. All sorts of... We've got a wonderful 18th century joke book, and the jokes are so terrible that they're funny.
I asked Laura heard that. She said BBC hospitality.
Yes, but they don't have any anymore. You don't even get a cup of coffee when you go to Newsnight anymore, I don't think. Very good.
How do you relax with the family?
Oh, very easily. I mean,
Do you play board games? Do you play Monopoly, Trivial Pursuit? What do you do?
yeah, we have been playing the Downton Abbey board game that one of my sons was given for his birthday. I get bullied into playing cricket by two of my sons, my two elder sons. My 2-year-old wants to go in the car and go up and down the drive and would do that all day long, given the opportunity, and hoot the horn. You're driving, you're going very far. Ooh. So there are lots of things to do with my children. I'm very lucky. I've got 6 wonderful children, and spending time with them is life's great joy.
Quick fire round to end. Here we go.
God,
You ready?
I'm never ready for these. They're
Okay,
always
no
impossible.
help from the wings, okay? Chateaubriand or shepherd's pie?
Depends who's made it. If it's nanny's, cottage pie. But if I'm out, I'd rather have a Chateaubriand.
Sweatpants or slacks?
Neither.
What instead?
Proper trousers.
Guacamole or mushy peas?
Oh, neither. Both disgusting.
Lidl or Waitrose?
Depends who's paying. If I'm paying, it better be little. It's much cheaper.
Beatles or the Rolling Stones?
Well, the Rolling Stones, but purely because of Who Breaks a Butterfly Upon a Wheel, my father's piece in defence of Mick Jagger, which was perhaps the most important piece my father wrote.
Tell us about it.
Oh, Mick Jagger was imprisoned for a minor drugs offence.
One of the Beatles was as well, though, as I remember.
But I don't. And my father wrote a piece about this, and Mick Jagger was duly released. It was the late 1960s, and because of that association, I would choose the Rolling Stones. So this is not really a comment on their music, because I'm not fit to comment.
Corrie or EastEnders?
Neither. Dallas, if I have to, but that's a bit
really?
dated. I loved Dallas.
Did you guess who'd shot JR before we knew?
No, I didn't. Did you?
Yeah, it was obvious. But then I'm a woman, and I would. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned.
Yeah.
Trust me on this.
It was Sue Ellen's sister, wasn't it?
It was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Karen?
No.
What was she called?
No. Can't remember her name.
All right. No,
We'll fix that in the edit.
Yeah.
Sky News or a rival?
Are there any rivals to Sky News?
We'll come again. And what's your go-to karaoke song?
I don't do karaoke.
Do you not?
No. I can't sing.
I couldn't carry a tune in a bucket, but I would still, when I've got enough champagne inside me, I'll sing That's Life.
Well, we better get you a glass of champagne.
Sounds like a great idea.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very
It's a real
much.
pleasure.
Thank you.